Were Melbourne's thunderstorm asthma deaths preventable? Is it possible that early warnings from EPA Victoria and other agencies could have prevented the recent thunderstorm asthma deaths? Dr. John Hager-Demetrio asks. One of the things that has hit the news recently, both within Australia and overseas, has been this condition called thunderstorm asthma. Thunderstorm asthma has gone from being a fairly unknown condition to now having claimed the lives of up to 8 people in Victoria. A lot of the victims have been young, 20, 35. There was the high school student who'd passed away, unfortunately, as well. And now, in trying to understand thunderstorm asthma, one of the things I did is I went to PubMed, which is under the National Library of Medicine, and looked up thunderstorm asthma. As you can see from the results, only a very limited number of results in the literature has been published on thunderstorm asthma. Some of the things that come out of this is that it is associated with pollen, it is associated with air pollutants and various other factors. One of the entities responsible for relaying information on daily pollen counts is a group called MelbournePollen from one of the universities in Melbourne. From their actual Twitter feed, as you can see that I'm going down through now, on the morning of the 21st of November, and the date that you'll actually see shortly is the 20th of November, there was a warning which was stating that, you'll see in a sec, that the pollen counts were going to be extreme. 102 grass pollen grains per cubic metre of air. So this was the warning from the 21st of November, which then later on that day had the incidence of thunderstorm asthma. Unfortunately, this was only retweeted in limited numbers. Now, the Environmental Protection Authority of Victoria is responsible for looking at pollution, and one of the things that it does publicise is it takes measures of air quality at different locations around Melbourne and Victoria. Now, if we keep scrolling down through their Twitter feed, we'll eventually get to the section where they talk about that the air quality in Brooklyn on the 21st of November, although this says the 20th of November, this is the American date, which is usually the date before. And then the forecast for the day itself was good to very good. Good in Melbourne and good to very good in Latrobe Valley. The actual EPA Victoria does have a website where it does demonstrate the levels of air quality. This is the website itself. This is from the current time, and the area that I'm showing at the moment is just the level of particles and the particle counts for the different sections of the parts of Melbourne and also of Geelong and the Latrobe Valley, and this is for the period of 12 noon to 1 p.m. on the 29th of November 2016. Now, if we go back to the 21st of November and just starting up at 6 a.m. and we look at what the particle counts are, so this is from 6 to 7 a.m. from the EPA Air Quality Hourly Update, you find that in Brooklyn the quality of air is good, in Geelong the quality of air is good, as is part of the Latrobe Valley. Now, as we start to move throughout the day, we find that I think it's Traralgon at the Latrobe Valley, the air quality already is poor, and now we're just going to move through the different hours. As you can see, at 8 to 9 a.m. in Brooklyn, from their air quality measuring station, the air quality is very poor. This is from 8 to 9 a.m. Now we're moving again through the day. This is 9 to 10. It was very poor there. This is from 10 through to 11. It's now fair in Brooklyn. And now we're just moving throughout the day. It's poor now again in Brooklyn. and this is from 11 till 12. From 12 till 1, it's fair. Now, have a look at Geelong down here. This is between 1 and 2 o'clock. It's very poor. Also for Brooklyn, it's poor, 87.8 reading. So the air quality at this time of day from 1 to 2 p.m. is already low. Now, let's go into the next hour. Geelong has certainly gotten significantly worse. Brooklyn is also poor. Now, if you look at, this is 1 to 2 p.m., so then 2 to 3 p.m. it gets much worse. 3 to 4, Geelong is still very poor air quality. And then from 4 to 5, things have improved a little bit in Brooklyn. Geelong's now fair air quality. And then from 5 till 6, remember the storm hit at about 6 o'clock. Brooklyn is very poor. Footscray is poor air quality. And then Geelong South also has very poor air quality. Now this is from 5 to 6. Remember the storm hit at 6 p.m. Near the Melbourne CBD. Now this is where it gets really interesting. So this is 6 to 7 p.m. East parts of Melbourne, very poor air quality. Fair air quality here. Brooklyn, Footscray, poor air quality. So the question that I guess would, and then in the next hour from 7 till 8 p.m. the air quality has improved. Now going back to 6 to 7, we've got very poor air quality here, and this is from the EPA Air Quality Hourly Update, as you can see. Now if we go to the previous hour, this is potentially the point where maybe a warning should have been issued from the EPA to emergency services, to the likes of the Asthma Foundation, perhaps to other government agencies, warning people that given that MelbournePollen had earlier in the day said that pollen counts are going to be very high, we've seen air quality to have been poor and very poor as measured by the EPA. Maybe there needs to be some sort of development where the agencies work closely together to prevent such an event, with the loss of lives of young people, of such as the student, of the husband of the lady with the 2 children, and others who have passed away, potentially unnecessarily, and I guess hopefully with a coordinated early warning system that can then be communicated to people that in the event of really high level winds or high pollen counts or high particulate matter counts as measured by the EPA, this will prevent asthma deaths in the future.